Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another Halloween video. Today's video is super exciting because as soon as I started planning Halloween videos, I was like, this has to be done. I am going to do this if it is the last thing that I do. And I mean, Riverdale, who is not obsessed? I'm obsessed with Riverdale. I freaking love Riverdale. Riverdale comes on so soon, in a few days, assuming I get this up on time. But yeah, Riverdale comes on in a few days and I'm just freaking out, and I'm just I had to make this costume for you guys. So I figured I'd make the most recognizable costume out of the series. And it will work for pretty much any character that you want to be. Obviously that's a girl. So the costume I'm going to show you guys how to make, as you already seen in the intro anyways, but I'm going to show you guys how to make from scratch the cheerleading outfit from Riverdale. What? Yes, it does require some sewing. I believe in you, and there's also substitutes that you can do if you don't want to sew. I'll also explain those as we go along, but I'm so excited. Well, yeah, without further ado, let's just get into the DIY. So to start this project, you're going to need some blue fabric as well as some white fabric. I chose knit fabric because it's stretchy, which means I didn't have to add any zippers or buttons for closures because the clothing will just stretch right over me. So the easiest way I find to make shirts from scratch is to actually just find a shirt that fits similar to the one that you're going to make, one that you already own, that you can just lay on top of the fabric and trace the pieces. So that's what I did. I found this shirt out of my closet, laid it onto the blue fabric, and traced the pieces that I needed to create the new shirt. And then obviously you want to go ahead and cut both pieces out because you're going to need a piece for the front as well as a piece for the back. If you're unsure of how this is going to fit, you can do what I did, and I pinned the sides and the shoulders of the shirt just to do it like a little test drive and make sure that I can slip it over my head and everything so it's going to fit before moving along. And once you're sure that your shirt fits, you want to go ahead and grab your white fabric and use a ruler to create 2 triangles that we're going to sew to the front of the shirt. And of course, if you don't want to make your shirt from scratch, you can use a blue tank top that you might already have and you can sew the white triangles on, or of course you can always use fabric paint to create the triangles as well. So go ahead and lay those onto your shirt. I used some pins to keep them in place so that I could sew them. Again, if you don't want to use any sewing methods, you can use fabric glue or hot glue or any other type of fabric adhesive. But my personal best choice is to do sewing because that's what I trust more than glue. So I used a zigzag stitch because this fabric is stretchy, and if you use a zigzag stitch, the fabric will still stretch even where the threads are. So on the Riverdale costumes, they have these yellow detailing, and I found this yellow trim as well as this white bias tape that would work perfectly. So I just laid them on top of the shirt just to get an idea of how long I needed the pieces, and then I went ahead and cut them. Obviously you're going to need 4 because there's 4 yellow stripes on the shirt. So contrary to the name bias tape, this tape isn't actually sticky like regular tape, so you will have to glue or sew it on. I decided to sew it because I trust sewing a little bit more than gluing, and then you just want to go ahead and sew or glue those onto the shirt in the crisscross pattern that matches the white triangles. And then I went ahead and just took a ruler and freehanded the letter R onto a piece of yellow felt, as well as I looked as a reference picture just to make sure I was getting it right. And then I cut out the horn pieces out of blue felt and glued them all onto a piece of white felt. So the horn is made up of 3 pieces, basically a oval, a cone shape, and then a little curvy part at the end, and you just want to place them all together so it creates this patch type look. Glue them onto the white felt and then cut out all around. So when you're done, you should have something that looks a little something like this, that looks very similar to the patches on the front of the River Vixen shirts. And then you just want to go ahead and either glue or sew that onto the front of your shirt. So your shirt is almost done now. All you have to do is lay your fabric together and sew the seams as well as the shoulders, and then you just want to tuck in the seams for the sleeves, the neckline, as well as the bottom of the shirts by folding over the fabric and sewing. So it should look a little something like this when you're done. So to start making the skirt, you want to measure the largest part of your waist. If your waist is 40 inches, you want to divide that by 8 because we're going to be making 8 pleats. So 40 inches divided by 8 is 5 inches. And then you want to measure how long you want your skirt to be. Mine was 13 inches. So my rectangles were 5 inches by 13 inches. And you want to cut out 8 rectangles in the blue as well as 8 rectangles in the white. And keep in mind while you're cutting your rectangles, you want to leave a little bit extra room on each edge for seam allowance. Now we're going to be pinning all of these pieces of rectangles together so we can create one long piece of fabric. And just make sure while you're pinning these and sewing these that all the seams are going to be along one side so that when we flip it over, the other side is going to be nice and smooth. And naturally, if you already have a navy pleated skirt at home that you want to use, you don't have to go through this whole process. You can either just sew on the white rectangles or you can use fabric paint to create the white pleats. So I went ahead and sewed all of my rectangles together, and in the end I had an extremely long piece of fabric, which is pretty crazy looking. It looks kind of like carnival tent or something like that. So go ahead and lay your skirt out flat and fold up the bottom edge just so that we don't have any raw edges exposed, and then you just want to go ahead and sew along that line. So you should have something a little like this, and it's going to look the same as the bottom hem of the shirt. And now we're going to go back to the same trim that we used for the shirt and sew it along the very bottom edge of the skirt. I actually sewed mine so close down to the bottom that it hit the bottom seam because I thought it was kind of scraggly and ugly looking because my sewing machine is kind of whack sometimes, and I thought this made it look a lot cleaner. And then you can go ahead and close up the skirt by sewing each open end together. And now we're going to start making the pleats. This can be a little bit tricky, but if you just follow along, I definitely think you guys can get it. So basically you just want to pinch each edge of the white fabric together and put a pin in it, and then you want to sew a few inches down along the blue side so that you create the pleat. Just watch what I'm doing here and hopefully you can understand what I'm trying to explain. So I'm pinching the white fabric, pinning, and then if you had sewn it just down a couple of inches, I'm going to show you guys what it's going to look like when you flip the fabric over. So if you open it to the right side, you're going to have this little pleat, and it's going to look really clean as long as you're sewing on the inside of the fabric. If you guys have any questions on this, make sure to leave them in the comments down below, and I'll totally help you out whenever I can. Next, we're going to make the waistband, so you just want to cut out a super long piece of blue fabric that's going to go around the waist of your skirt. And make sure you have enough that you can fold it over as well as fit an elastic the size of your waist through the waistband. So you want to go ahead and flatten out the white fabric loop that's inside. Flatten it so that you have an equal amount of white on each side of the blue sewing line. And then you can go ahead and pin your waistband fabric upside down to the pleat. Again, it's kind of hard to explain, but I really hope you guys can understand by what I'm doing, and you can leave any questions or anything like that in the description box, or comments, and I'll totally get back to you on that. Keep going until you have it all the way around, sew it, and when you fold it up, you're going to have a super clean looking line. But when you sew this waistband fabric on, you definitely want to make sure you leave the ends open so then you can feed the elastic through. And that's the last step. All you have to do is feed the elastic through so that you have elastic poking out on both ends. And this can be a little bit tricky, but literally just keep pushing and pushing until it comes out. And once you have fabric on both ends, you just want to pinch them together, sew them, and then your skirt's done. If you really want the pleats to stick in shape, I would definitely recommend using an iron.
because that will definitely help them stick instead of being all floppy and loosey-goosey and everywhere. But this is how the costume turned out, and this entire costume costed me less than $17, so I think it turned out really good compared to really expensive Halloween store costumes, and I'm super happy with it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If any of you guys try it out, please let me know in the comments down below.
Thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end of this video. I worked super hard on it and I really hope you guys liked it. If you guys try this tutorial out, make sure to let me know in the comments, or if you're just gonna like be a character from Riverdale, let me know in the comments. I'm actually contemplating on like wearing this like on Halloween. I don't really know. I probably will. Let me know in the comments also what other DIY Halloween costumes you guys want to see this year. I'm super pumped for Riverdale to come back on, and I think Riverdale is going to be a huge like costume this year, so I really wanted to show this to you guys because I've literally been like looking on YouTube like every day. I'm just like DIY Riverdale costume to see if anyone's done it yet, and like as I'm filming this intro right now, nobody has. Not this particular outfit. That is the end of today's video, and I will see you guys tomorrow with a new video. Bye!